everyone, this is Travis Hansen, author of the Speed Encyclopedia, director of the Reno Speed School here in Reno, Nevada, here to take a quick moment to discuss a very important topic as it pertains to speed development that I think is generally misunderstood and underrated in both mainstream and maybe underground training culture. So that is being slower due to being tight. And when I say tight, I'm referencing two types of tight. So the first one obviously is going to be being inflexible. So you have some restriction in whatever tissue it may be that's preventing range of motion, which won't allow you to sprint or sprint as fast. I think that's commonly understood. And then there's tightness due to being inhibited. So inhibition, I like to view it more as rather than muscular, it's neurological nature. So it's an inability of having opposing or antagonistic muscle groups inhibit and relax to allow maximal contractions and force production from your prime movers. So an example would be during the propulsive phase when you're going to push off the ground, the hip flexors need to relax, at the right time and fast enough to allow the glutes and hamstrings to drive more force and power into the ground. And this efficiency is best improved just through plyometrics, just honing your stretch shortening cycles, teaching your body to stretch and shorten at the right time, building coordination and better efficiency there. So something stretching can provide, even though it can cause tightness. So if the muscle doesn't fully inhibit, it stays tight. If our nervous system is too slow to inhibit that muscle, it's going to stay a little tighter, and it's going to decrease the production from our posterior chain or our glutes and our hamstrings in this case. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time referencing why I don't focus on being more flexible to get faster, contrary to popular belief. First of all, the studies. Everything we do should be backed by research and studies, a mass amount of it. So I was able to locate over 10 studies that showed no improvement in performance or decrease in injury with static stretching. The majority of those studies were referencing performance, mainly pre-workout and then hours before your actual session. And then anecdotally, I can attest to this myself. As a sprinter, as a runner, and as well as my athletes, we're all pretty tight. We have a moderate degree of tightness. And science will reinforce this. I'm going to go over this in a moment. But every single athlete who I've had run an elite 40 or 60 yard dash time, according to national standards, exhibited a moderate degree of tendon and muscular tightness. And I think the reason why this is important, it spring loads you. You're able to store and release energy better, as opposed to a marionette who's just loose and floppy and their nervous system's just too relaxed. So there's a lot of real-world evidence there to just reconfirm the science. And then also movement principle, kinesiological principle, the length-tension relationship, I think, has great application here in that, if you stretch a muscle too much, it loses force production capabilities. If you stretch it too little, it loses force production capabilities. So there's a moderate degree of stretch where a muscle is going to be able to generate maximum amount of force, and I think that can be seen. I'm pointing to the track here that we have in our facility, but that can be seen on the track because sprinting really only requires a moderate degree of range of motion and movement stretch from our muscles, and I think that's why people can stay powerful. If it involved more than that, power production would be lower. Maybe the body would adapt, but just naturally it's moderate. And then this brings up the next point, in that you're never going to find somebody who can't sprint because they're too inflexible. No human being on this planet. There might be just rare special exceptions here, but can't sprint because they're too inflexible. So, I've seen just very, very tight and inflexible and immobile people still be able to sprint with ease. Yet we advocate more stretching in an attempt or hope to be able to run faster. It's just definitely counterintuitive and contradictive. As long as the research show it, but real-world evidence will show it. The LTR supports it. I think ballet dancers is a great example there. Ballet dancers, very fast. There might be a few of them, but they're a lot more flexible than sprinters, yet sprinters are far faster. So obviously the flexibility is really the key ingredient in causing fast athletes, sprinters, to be fast. So, but yet we rank flexibility probably above power in this context, which is just baffling to me. So, power first and foremost, and you look at the research, is the primary regulator, as well as the direction which you apply force for running faster. And just to be objective here, I know Brett Contreras, I'm a huge follower and fan of his work in a lot of areas, but he mentions, I'm kind of curious to see, because I found over 10 studies that disfavored stretching, static stretching for improving performance. And I know he found some stuff that advocated it. If I'm being objective here, just like to look at everything from all angles. So maybe Brett's right, maybe it does have an influence. I haven't been able to find the research, and we do implement it, just as insurance for other reasons. But even if it does have an influence on performance, according to these other studies, which I'm going to have to look into, it's going to pale in comparison to power, because we've already identified the fastest people in the world, Bull, Lemaitre. They've done studies on these people, and they went to the primary distinction between their slower running times versus their opponents was just their position on the force velocity curve, or just their power output. They're just so powerful. So just really can't emphasize that enough. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to in regards to being slow or being tight. Remember, there's two types of tightness: that inhibition, which is what I'm going to call it, and then also inflexibility. So really, the plyometric work, working on your stretch shortening cycle, is really going to teach your central nervous system and your body to excuse me, inhibit and activate the right muscle groups with the right amount of effort at the right time. And we just really don't hear that too much. And it can also cause tightness in sprinting if we're not good at this, and it's falsely accused of being inflexible. So I don't see my viewpoint changing. Just over the past decade, I've just seen too many people run very, very fast. As fast as anybody in the country, across 40 or 60 yards, and they just weren't flexible. So, I got to take Brett's stuff into consideration. But I think we should focus, as far as a priority rating, focus on the inhibition more than the inflexibility when trying to get athletes faster. And that's just more specific too. So also hamstring strength's huge, in terms of injuries. Being specific strength of the hamstrings, or having the hamstring strong at at certain ranges of motion, certain positions. People who injure themselves generally aren't. That's another factor to consider, and factor you have to consider. And there's other things too. So it's kind of a broad issue, but I just wanted to touch on being tight, the two types and how they regulate speed. So hope you enjoy this little segment, and I'll be back soon to discuss more info and content to help you or your athletes get faster.